My name is Jimmy Rosimano. Today in this video I'm going to be telling you a little bit about both conventional and sumo style deadlift. Sorry we're going to be outside for this video. Actually, luckily it's a beautiful day, but I typically do not like deadlifting inside, so I had to bring you out on the driveway. So first I'm going to talk about the starting position of a conventional deadlift. Now the starting position can be very, very similar to a squat. So feet between hip and shoulder width apart. Alright, and then when we go to grab the bar, we're going to squat down, keep a very, very strong flat back position, just like we would for a squat. Alright, then we're going to grab the bar a little bit outside, shoulder width apart. Alright, so obviously your arms are going to be outside your knees, and you could use either an alternated, an overhand, or a hook grip. Alright, I prefer to use a hook grip. I feel like it helps protect the integrity of the ligaments in my arms. And so that's what I prefer to use, but I typically go athlete's choice, whatever the athlete prefers to do, and also it depends on what the head strength coach prefers that the athletes do themselves. So again, as I said, we want to start with a strong flat back position, alright, and I'll show you that position right now on the bar. Alright, so as I stressed in the squat, it's important to keep in mind that you want to see your logo throughout the entire range of motion. It's no different with the deadlift. So that begins from the starting position all the way to standing up with the weight and replacing it to the ground. Alright, so we want to squat down, keeping in mind that we want our logo to be seen if we're looking in a mirror at all times. My hands are a little bit wider than hip width, outside of my knees. Grab with a hook grip, so I wrap my fingers around my thumbs, and now I'm ready to start the movement. Now I'll show you how to do the sumo style deadlift. So the sumo style deadlift is a little bit different than a conventional deadlift in the sense that the feet are much, much wider apart. Now, to make up for these feet being wider apart, your toes are going to have to point it even farther outward so that they're aligned with your knees as you get towards the bottom of the movement, or excuse me, as you stand up and extend your legs, and then as you descend and flex your legs, again, you want your knees and toes to be in line. Alright, so in terms of the starting position, that's the first major difference. The second difference is, obviously your arms are going to be inside your legs. Now the grip, again, is up to the athlete or up to the coach, and shouldn't be that different. And you want your weight, just like in a conventional deadlift, to be over the balls of your feet. Now in both conventional and sumo deadlift, it's important that the bar is about an inch in front of your shins before you start the movement. And then after, and we'll get into this later into the videos, after it passes your knees, it'll actually be dragging against your legs. So we want to keep that bar in a straight line, moving straight up against your body. Alright, so I'll show you a setup for a sumo style deadlift now. So you can see my feet are pointed more extremely outward. Alright, not completely extreme, but definitely to a greater degree than they would be in a conventional style deadlift. I'm going to use the hook grip again, so I'll squat down, grab the bar, my chest is up, my toes are pointed out, my knees are flexed, my hips are flexed, and I'm ready to start the movement. So the upward phase of the conventional and sumo deadlifts are both very similar. Once we've got the starting position down for both of them, the upward phase is hardly any different in terms of coaching cues and technique. Alright, so the starting phase, we want to raise the hips and the shoulders, the upward phase, we want to raise the hips and the shoulders at the same speed. That's crucial. Alright, that way we're not putting too much pressure on the hamstrings, that way we're not putting too much pressure on the lower back, So we want to have them raised at the same speed. Now that's key, it's tempo. Just like any sport, it's all about speed, it's all about technique. We need to stress technique here, and the most important part of that technique is hips and shoulders rising at the same speed. Alright, now once the bar has cleared the knees, alright, so the bar is not actually going to rub up against the shins, but you want it close to the shins. Once it's past the knees, you want the bar to drag up the thighs, alright, as you extend your hips and extend your knees until you complete the motion and you're standing straight up. Now, another important factor to stress in a deadlift, whether sumo or conventional, is that they should not hyperextend the hips. All right, we don't want to put that much stress on the hips. We want to stand up. The full range of motion is from the ground to as tall as we could possibly be. It's not to finish that movement with our weight all the way back. It's dangerous. It's unnecessary. We're not going to get anything out of it. And if anything, we could cause injury as opposed to getting the positive benefits that we want out of a deadlift. So I'll show you both sumo and conventional style deadlift, the upward part of the movement. Alright, so we've spoken about the starting position, and now we're going to talk about the upward phase. As I just previously mentioned, the upward phase of sumo and conventional are very similar. But first I'm going to talk about conventional. Alright, so feet are a little bit wider than hip width, somewhere between your hips and shoulders, and your arms are straight down and outside your knees. I use a hook grip. Alright, my chest is up, and I'm going to raise my hips and shoulders at the same speed. Alright, this is all we need, right to this position. Okay, we don't need to hyperextend like this. Again, it's going to put a lot of strain on joints that we do not need. Alright, so I'll show you that again. Right here. Hips and shoulders at the same speed, driving through your heels. Good. Now, I'm going to show you the Sumo style upward phase of movement. So your toes are pointed outward, right, at a more extreme angle, but not completely extreme, but a more extreme angle than they would be for conventional style. Alright, same deal. We're going to squat down, grab the bar with a hook grip, just wider than hip width apart, our hands. We're going to stand up, keeping our chest up, strong flat back position the whole way through the movement. And I'll show you both of those from the side as well. So in this, watch the back angle. My back angle stays constant. My torso is at the same angle to the ground at the bottom of the movement as it is as the bar reaches my hips. Now I'll show you the Sumo variety from the side. It shouldn't look very different. Unfortunately, these big tire bumper plates are going to keep you from seeing too much of what you're looking at, but I want you to know that they should look very, very similar from the side. And that's Sumo conventional in the upward phase. Now the downward phase is also similar for both of these two movements. Now what's important in the downward phase is for the athletes to understand that we can actually still get benefits from the eccentric part of the lift. Now a lot of athletes like to bounce the weight, like to drop the weight. That's not what we're looking for. The most efficient way to exercise is to get benefits from both concentric and eccentric parts of the movement. So what we're going to do in this downward phase is control the weight, use the same muscles and the same movements as we would in the upward phase. So we're going to now let our hips and knees flex under control as we lower the weight to the ground. So I'll show you that now. Alright, I won't show you it sideways because it's very similar sideways, front and back, and you kind of got an idea what it should look like sideways from the last movement I showed you. Alright, so I'll show you conventional and Sumo, the downward phase. So first I'll show you conventional. Once we've stood up with the bar, just like we would in a squat, butt goes back, knees are flexed, chest is up. Good. Now I'll show you from the Sumo position. Under control, just like that. I'll show you one more time. So that's how we do the conventional and Sumo deadlifts. Thanks for watching.